When people think about visiting Argentina, they think about going to the capital Buenos Aires or perhaps Patagonia to do some hiking or perhaps to go and see the Iguazu Falls. But not too many people think about going to some of Argentina's other destinations, such as Córdoba and Mendoza, two of Argentina's largest cities in fact. However, in recent years, Córdoba and Mendoza are both getting more popular with travelers and digital nomads. So in this video, we're going to compare both cities, Córdoba and Mendoza, in 8 different categories and stick to the end because the final category will be which one I prefer. And just to be clear, this video is comparing the cities, Córdoba capital and Mendoza capital, not the provinces, just to be very clear if Argentinians are watching this. Now, category number 1 is things to do in both cities. And again, when I talk about things to do, I'm talking about things to do specifically inside the capital, specifically inside the city boundaries. And to be really honest, inside both Córdoba capital city and Mendoza capital city, there is not too much you can do inside the city. Starting in Córdoba, you will find some nice architecture around the historic centre, especially the cathedral here that you see. Córdoba actually does have a rich history dating back centuries upon centuries ago. It was a big destination and a big hub for the Jesuits. You can go to this museum here and learn more about the history of the city. And this Jesuit block here is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and you can go to the University Museum and learn more about the history. Córdoba University is the oldest university in Argentina, dating back to the 1600s. Now, I also recommend checking out the Güemes neighborhood of the city. It's quite a quirky, hip place, and it's good for nightlife in particular. You will find a lot of hip cafes and bars there. And also, if you do find yourself in Córdoba during a hot sunny day, you can go to Parque Sarmiento and have a walk around the park. It's not the best park in the world, but you can go there. And now, speaking about Mendoza, again, not really too much you can do inside the capital. You can go to the Cerro de la Gloria, hike up to that mountain, get some nice views across the city. Now, the main park in the city, Parque General San Martin, is actually a really nice park. It is better than the one in Córdoba, the Parque Sarmiento. Lots of people doing sports and activities. It's a very nice vibe in the summer. You can take a walk around Parque Civico. There are some government buildings there and also some blue water flying into the air. So as you can tell, both Córdoba and Mendoza do not compete with somewhere like Buenos Aires when it comes to tourist activities. However, I do think the history of Córdoba is interesting, and it is a bigger city than Mendoza. I do feel like there are more interesting things to do in Córdoba. So I'm going to say that Córdoba wins this first category. So now let's move on to category 2, tours and day trips. Now, both of these cities absolutely shine when it comes to the tours and day trips that you can potentially do. Now, starting in Córdoba, there are 3 main towns that you can take a day trip to: Villa Carlos Paz, Alta Gracia and Villa General Belgrano. Now, Villa Carlos Paz is a nice town set on a lake. It's very popular with Argentinian tourists in the Argentinian summer months, and also a lot of the students from Córdoba University go there on a Sunday. It's kind of like a ritual that they all do. Now, Alta Gracia was another base for the Jesuits, another historic city for the Jesuit movement. And also, if you are into politics and Che Guevara, you can go to a Che Guevara museum in town too. And Villa General Belgrano is actually a German town founded by Germans. A lot of people from Central Europe actually moved over there. You can see a lot of German style architecture. I think there is an Oktoberfest that happens there too. You know, there's lots of lakes and mountains and nature in the province of Córdoba. You could go to Los Torrones, for example. So you definitely can use Córdoba as a good base to do other day trips around the province. And in Mendoza, you can do exactly the same thing. Now, Mendoza is famous for its wines. It's known as the wine capital of South America. So there are lots of tours to vineyards and wine tasting tours that you can book when you are in Mendoza. I mean, here's a really popular one here. If you do want to book this tour, if you're going to Mendoza, just click the link below in the description and the comment section. You will be able to book this tour exactly. That tour takes you to 3 wineries, but you can also book a half-day wine tasting tour. And also there is this wine bike tour that you can book as well, where you're all on a bike drinking wine. I'm sure that would be pretty fun. Also, if you like horse riding, you can go and ride some horses in the Andes too. Now, again, the great thing with Mendoza is you are literally right next to the biggest mountain outside of Asia on planet Earth, Aconcagua. Again, using that link below in the description and the comment section, you can book a tour to go to Aconcagua. Another day trip that people do is going to Uspallata, a little village in the Andes. You get some fantastic views across the mountains. And there is more. You can go to the Cachueta thermal hot springs and get a spa day out, or you can do some river rafting on the rivers in the Andes. So even though it is true that both Córdoba capital city City and Mendoza, capital city, are not the most exciting cities from a tourist perspective, you can spend at least a week in both places and take lots of tours and day trips, and you won't be bored at all. So who is going to win this category? It is a difficult one, but I would say that Mendoza has the more adventurous and fun activities and tours that you can get up to. I would like to go back to Cordoba and go to Villa General Belgrano, the German town, because I didn't get to go there. Plus, I do personally find it really fascinating going to these German and Welsh and Italian settlements that you find in South America. But I do think that one would have to say that Mendoza does have the more fun day trip and tour options. So I'm going to say that Mendoza wins this category. So now then we're going to move to category 3. Category 3 is prices. What are the prices like in both cities? And to be honest with you, the prices going out, eating food, drinking, accommodation are really similar. I mean, you should be able to find a nice apartment in both city centres for 2 people for around 35 to 45 US dollars per night. But honestly, in terms of day-to-day prices, you're not going to notice any difference at all. If you are going to Mendoza though, I do recommend going to this place here, Olegario, for a cafe meal. I had a meal here for about 6 US dollars, a Milanese and a wine. This was definitely my cheapest meal in my time in Argentina, but generally speaking, expect to pay at least 15 or 20 US dollars for a 2-course meal and a drink at a normal restaurant in Argentina. And to be fair, these days with the inflation, probably expect to pay a little bit more today, so maybe at least 20 US dollars for a decent meal. Basically, the way it goes is that the south of Argentina is the most expensive, the middle of the country, so Buenos Aires, Córdoba, Mendoza, is medium expensive, and then the north is the cheapest. But as for Córdoba and Mendoza, I'll say that this category is a tie. Now then, category 4 is food. Which city provides the better food options? And I'm going to go straight to the point with this one. I do think Córdoba will have better food options for you. Of course, you will be able to find your standard Argentinian food in both cities, so steaks, grilled meat, empanadas, Milanesas, which are basically schnitzels. They treat the schnitzel as like a pizza base, like you would with dough, so they put toppings on top of the schnitzel, or you can get the schnitzel inside a sandwich. Argentina is also famous for its very good ice cream too, but the reason why Cordoba I think is better for food than Mendoza is just because Cordoba is a bigger city and you will find more international food options in Cordoba. You will be able to find some Asian restaurants like these ones here, and also some Arab Middle Eastern restaurants like these here in Cordoba, and you'll find the same in Mendoza too. You'll find Lebanese and Armenian food, as you can see on the screen here in Mendoza, but because Cordoba is bigger, you just have more food options. And also, I did have probably the best Milanese of my Argentina trip in Cordoba. It was this one here at a place called Bruncheria, though it was quite pricey. I think it was around 13 to 14 US dollars. So now then, category 5 is safety. Which city did I feel safer in? I'm not going to go through crime statistics because I think gut feeling is a lot more important than statistics, because statistics don't tell you the full picture. I did not feel unsafe walking around both cities during the daytime, but what I would say is that Cordoba, being a bigger city, I felt like there were more sketchier areas. When you stay in Cordoba, I highly recommend staying in an area called Nueva Cordoba. So it's this black box on the bottom of the screen you see here. Now, the red box on the top is the official historic centre. That's where you'll find the cathedral, the Jesuit block, the university museum. But I personally would not recommend staying there because it did feel a little bit sketchy. Nueva Cordoba is safer, more stuff is going on there, more restaurants, bars and clubs are there. As soon as you leave that black box on the bottom of the screen, things just feel a little bit sketchier. Now in Mendoza, I did not feel any real danger walking around this centre part of the city during the daytime, though I did have a walk around the centre part of town during the nighttime once, and it did feel very eerie and quiet, so a little bit sketchy. So I would highly recommend staying near this road here, because this is the road where most of the nightlife and bars and restaurants are. This road is called Aristides Villa Nueva. Now I know I did say that we would not look at crime stats, but I may as well just give you them here, right? So the crime index of Cordoba is 61, the crime index of Mendoza is 65, so apparently Mendoza is more dangerous than Cordoba. But if you look at a lot of these data, the data seem to be based on a lot of fear, so fear of being mugged, fear of things being broken into, fear of your car being stolen. But maybe people in Mendoza are just more fearful and more paranoid than people from Cordoba, or maybe there are just some really sketchy areas in the suburbs of Mendoza that increase the crime rate. So you can't really read too much into these statistics as a tourist, because as a tourist or a digital nomad, you're going to be staying in the nicer areas anyway, and you're going to be taking safety precautions, so I wouldn't look too much into those data. You should be perfectly fine in both places. They're not that bad at all, to be honest, but maybe Mendoza to me felt a little bit safer and a little bit more peaceful, so I will say that Mendoza for me just slightly wins this category for safety. Now then, category 6 is friendliness of the locals. Which city had the friendlier locals, in my opinion? Now, when you go to Argentina, you'll hear many Argentinians say that Córdoba has the friendliest people in Argentina. And in my experience from my time in Argentina, I think I do agree. I do think Córdoba people seem to be the nicest people in the country. Maybe it's because Córdoba is just full of students, so everyone there is young and happy and having a good time. Or maybe it's because people in Córdoba just naturally are nice people. I don't know, but it did feel to me that Córdoba did have more people who are more chilled, relaxed, happy, friendly, interested to meet foreigners. I honestly do think if you are looking to make local friends and maybe have a social life or date people, I do think Córdoba is going to be a much better choice than Mendoza in my personal experience. Now, I'm not saying that people from Mendoza are rude and grumpy and that you can't have a social life in Mendoza, but you do definitely notice when you go to Córdoba, people are just happier, people are more laid back. I think you're just going to have a better social experience in Córdoba. So for the locals and friendliness, I'm going to say that Córdoba wins this category. So now we move on to the penultimate category, category 7, nightlife. Now, you can probably guess which city wins this category. It is going to be Córdoba. Córdoba, being a big student city, offers a lot of nightlife options. You just have a lot more options for bars, pubs, clubs, music venues, especially in the Nueva Córdoba area on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. It's just really buzzing and lively. But I must say, don't expect too much to be happening on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday nights. Those early weekdays are not really great for nightlife. Most of the nightlife happens on the weekends. Oh, and something quite funny to mention as well, when you walk around Córdoba on a Sunday morning or a Sunday afternoon, it's going to be an absolute ghost town because everyone's going to be lying in after their hangover. Argentinians are like the Spanish. They go out really late and then they come home in the morning. So don't expect much to be going on Saturday and Sunday mornings in the city. Now, in Mendoza, as I mentioned before, you have this street Aristides Villa Nueva, which is where you find a lot of the bars and nightlife. But apart from this street, I didn't really see much going on. It did feel like a bit of a ghost town outside of this street here. So if you are from Mendoza, or if you know Mendoza very well, please do comment below your recommendations for nightlife. Are there any other districts in the city that have good nightlife? Because the only area that I really noticed was this Aristides Villa Nueva street. So now moving on to the final category, category 8, which city do I personally prefer? But before I tell you my preference, please do comment below and let me know if you have been to both Córdoba and Mendoza. Tell me what your preference was. Which city did you personally prefer? Which city would you rather go back to? It will be interesting to see your opinions. But what is my view? Well, I think this. If you're into wine, nature activities, I think Mendoza is going to be a better choice for you. But if you prefer city life, Córdoba will be the better choice for you, because as far as I'm concerned, the city of Córdoba is just better than the city of Mendoza. But Mendoza does have fantastic tours and activities that you can do. Personally, for me, I think I did prefer Córdoba. I think if I could go back to one only, I would choose Córdoba personally. But I guess I am a younger guy and I still like younger guy things. So as I get a bit older, maybe my opinion will change. But for now, I think I do prefer Córdoba over Mendoza. Now, do let me know if you have any questions on anything we've talked about in this video today. I hope you have enjoyed the video and I hope you have found it useful. If you have found it useful, do click the like button. It really does help out the channel. Also hit the notification bell so that you get notified for all of my latest videos, and subscribe for more travel content. So thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next video.